This series was funded by great viewers just like you over on Patreon. Check out the description or end of the video to hear how you can take part in making the show even more amazing. Hey everyone, Gaijin Goombah here, and welcome back to another episode of Which Ninja? A series that looks at media's most popular shinobi to see which are good, which are bad. Well guys, today's the day. Today we ripped that Xbox mother a new USB slot. You relax! Look guys, I don't hate Genji.
I do.
In fact, he's my favorite hero in all of Overwatch. I mean, if I'm being honest, the thing that got me sucked into Overwatch in the first place was Genji and Hanzo's introductory animation, Dragons. Yeah, I'm a big fat weeb. I don't care. The animation, the sound design, lordy the sound design. And yeah, even the story was really touching. As a little brother myself, having been split from my older brother, I could sympathize with that story. And dude, the action was stellar. Ever since, well, I can't help myself. I freaking love Genji. I love his design, I love his personality, and I really love his story of coming to grips with who and what he is in Overwatch's ever-running theme of humanity coexisting with sentient AI.
I seriously can't believe you're trying to defend this guy. Just freaking look at him. Out of all the different colors Genji could have gone with, of all the chassis designs he could have chosen, he went with silver, beige, and neon freaking green accent lighting. With that build, the only thing you're gonna blend into is a car dealership.
Okay, hold on there. You know Genji's lighting system is completely under his own control, right? He can turn them off when he damn well pleases. As for his color scheme, you know Genji has like over a dozen skins at this point, right? And if you really want to get technical, the carbon fiber skin is actually the perfect fit for our boy to wear. A mix of dark blue and black. And as we always say, come on man, you're under contract.
Real ninja wear blue. Too bad it doesn't matter though, considering all these alternate skins are non-canonical.
Either way, it's time to finally break down the cyborg ninja dude, figuratively, and see when compared to historical ninja what's good and what's bad.
Well, saddle up, because there's a whole lot of bad. Starting with his most facepalm-worthy aspects, his primary weapon. If you've never played the game before, Genji has two modes of primary fire, a burst of straight-line shuriken or spread shotgun pattern. Their damage can stack up pretty fast, that is, if you can actually hit anything with these snail-crawling stars. But reality check, Genji, this is how fighting using just shuriken would actually go. Shuriken aren't primary weapons. In fact, you could argue they're not really weapons at all, but rather another distraction tool that made up the majority of the ninja's armory. Unless your target was unarmored, or unless you could hit the target in the head, heart, throat, or spine, you're not gonna do a whole lot of damage.
With a shuriken alone, no, but that's why many of them would utilize poisons and bacteria to do more long-term damage to their target. In fact, an old favorite to really get under their opponent's skin, literally, was to cover the blades of the shuriken in poop. Cheap and easy. But the true purpose of a shuriken isn't to kill, but rather to distract. A bit over a year ago, I sat down with Matthew Wright of the Nine Directions Dojo in Ontario, Canada, a Bujinkan ninjutsu teacher and a traditional blacksmith of shinobi tools. And he had some interesting things to say about the practical use of shuriken.
So the thing, when you're looking at throwing stars, you cross over the closest two, and that's how much depth you're gonna get into anything solid target-wise.
Right.
Then usually what happens in this instance, once this one catches, this one sinks in much deeper. When you get into this, as you can see, there's...
Yeah, it's just straightforward.
All penetration for this, something like that.
Yes.
And then, so that's, usually you're running at about a 1/16 of an inch American. For width-wise, and then you can get to more what the, so very ninja. Yes. But then you'd also get this kind of style, again, for samurai, where now that we're getting closer to a 1/4 of an inch, you get a lot more. Now this would have been done by a swordsmith at this point.
Could you kill someone with these?
You could, if you're hand-to-hand combat, you're able to hold them without puncturing yourself.
Yeah.
It would take a hell of a lot of work.
Yeah.
The way that these are looked at, and when you're using them, they're always in conjunction with another technique.
So in the movies, you're going to see someone standing usually about 30 feet away, and they're throwing shuriken. But if you're 30 feet away, I'm going to do this technique. It's a wonderful technique. It takes years to perfect, and you do this.
Yep.
because it's 30 feet away. For the most part, you're looking at 9 feet distance. Yeah. And they're just to open up a target.
So, theoretically speaking, yeah, you might be able to kill someone with a shuriken, but even with cybernetic enhancements, there's only so much damage a 1/16 to 1/4 of an inch blade is going to do against a futuristic armored moon monkey. Better to use it as a distraction tool than anything.
I'll give Genji some credit. It would be plausible that he could throw multiple shuriken with pinpoint precision, what with all the cybernetic enhancements and all, but that is way more than I could say about his ultimate. See, this is what the game is showing us. And this is what would actually happen.
Very well.
Genji's ult is physically impossible. His blade is too freaking long. I mean, look at this thing. If you were to put Genji and the Dragon Blade side by side, shoot, it's almost as tall as he is. The only way he could ever pull this thing out is if he could somehow stretch his arm out a good 3 feet to pull the blade from the saya.
Unfortunately, he's right. Heck, I even went out and ordered Blizzard's own Dragon Blade replica. Theoretically speaking, since this is coming directly from Blizzard, this should be the closest we will ever get to holding the real Dragon Blade in our hands. And guess what? It's impossible to unsheath from behind. No matter how high or low I grip it, even pulling the saya away from the blade, it was physically impossible to pull the blade out from behind.
And I checked every single instance where Genji pulls his Dragon Blade in game or in cutscenes. There isn't a single frame of animation that has him either sheathing or unsheathing the sword from base to tip, anywhere. I even thought maybe the saya sheath actually opened up to catch the blade, but no, it's completely sealed. Even if I was to play devil's advocate and use the Dragon Blade drawing animation from the first person perspective, which looks like the blade goes up his right shoulder to either pull out or put back the blade, it's still too damn long.
Well, there's also some history to that. See, Genji's blade is known as an Oldachi. Similar to a katana or tachi in terms of design and build, but unlike those two, the Oldachi blade is just short of 3 feet long. A massive length and weight that made it impossible to use anywhere except outdoors. And a weapon of finesse, this was not. Due to its sheer size and weight, it was better used not as an elegant slicing weapon, but a straight-down crushing weapon, cleaving cavalrymen and their horses. Though some samurai in the 1300s try to rock the weapon on an individual level, just like our boy Genji, it was near impossible to unsheath the thing from behind, let alone from the belt. But there were some ways around that problem. During the Muromachi period, for example, Odachi wielders would actually have an assistant or page with them who assisted in withdrawing the blade, or said samurai would simply carry the blade on hand at all times, much like the Kinsei warriors do in For Honor.
Even then, the swords used didn't last long. Heck, they were outright banned after the Katana Gari sword hunt. In the early 1600s, the Bakufu government mandated that all blades for public use must be shorter than 24 inches. But even before then, the time and resources it took to make, the training it took to wield, it was just a supremely inconvenient weapon that eventually became little more than a tool for Shinto offerings. So why exactly would a ninja use such a cumbersome tool exactly?
Alright, the answer is they probably didn't. But that being said, there is one weapon Genji uses that is right on the money when it comes to traditional ninja practice, his offhand Kodachi. Too long to be a tanto and too short to be a wakizashi, the Kodachi, or literally small sword, was a blade popularized during the Kamakura period of the mid to late 1100s, and made for a convenient weapon for samurai and peasants alike. But what made it so alluring to shinobi was its size and its availability. With a blade less than 24 inches, it was far easier for a ninja to mount and conceal this sword on their person versus something like a katana. And as for legal ownership, even during the Edo period, Kodachi were commercially available to anyone. At the end of the Katana Gari sword hunt, it was decreed that no blade over 24 inches would be owned by any non-military. Well, guess which blade always stayed under 2 feet? Easy handling, easy access, it was a perfect blade for the shinobi.
Fine, he gets 1 gold star for authenticity. But Genji at his rudimentary basics fails at the one thing that ninja are supposed to be good at.
And that is?
Survival! For crying out loud, it's in their freaking name! The word ninja is broken down into 2 kanji, nin and ja, with ja loosely meaning a person or occupation, and nin meaning patience and endurance. And Endure Ninja did, because above all else, they had to survive to deliver the item or information they were sent out to collect. And the ways ninja had to stay alive were almost countless. They could make Hishaku compasses on the fly to never be lost. They could use mountain formations to never be far from water. They were pioneers in processed and preserved foods to starve off hunger for days at a time. And even if they didn't have any of that, they had textbook knowledge of what was safe and what was harmful to eat. And they had portable medication for every single slight of the human body. To be a ninja means to be in the occupation of survival and endurance. And what is the single most exposited joke across everyone's lips when it comes to Genji?
I need a healing. I need a healing. I need a healing. I need a healing.
God, you're like every Genji main. I need healing.
I need a healing.
Ah, I'd tear my freaking eyebrows out if I had hands. Genji has no self-preservation techniques in his kit, save for maybe the ability to dash and run away, which even then won't do much for you in the long run since you gotta spend time looking around for health packs. The boy can't take care of himself. The one thing that ninja were trained to do. Lordy, you know who's a better ninja than Genji in Overwatch? Freaking Sombra. Think about it. She has absolute stealth capabilities which even Genji lacks. She debilitates her targets before going in for the kill with modern tech, which again, way more ninja than tossing quarter-inch blades around slowly. And finally, not only does her beacon teleporter make her way more mobile than Genji, she can both yank herself out of a tight spot and heal herself quickly, porting to the nearest health pack accessible only to her and her team. No, you want to hear something even better? Roadhog, the 300-pound pigman, is a better ninja than Genji. For one, we've never seen the guy's face, and two, despite being a tank, he's an ambush attacker. Sneaking up on his targets and hitting with his chain hook, stunning the character and spooking the player, pulling him in quickly and taking their opponent down only to slink back into the shadows. Not so unlike the sickle and chain kusarigama, which allowed the ninjas to strike, stun, and yank around their opponent before going in for the kill. Oh, and if Roadhog gets roughed up, he has medicine to heal himself. Ugh, 1 star out of 10 for this guy. And that 1 star is only because of his kodachi. Aside from that, his awful choice of primary weapon, his physically impossible ult, his highly reflective design, his inability to survive. Seriously, why are you so stuck on this guy being a good ninja?
Because there was a time where he really could have been. And I don't mean back when he could burst down attack and support characters, despite that actually being a decent balance considering Genji's made of styrofoam. I'm talking way, way back. 2014 to be exact. During BlizzCon back in 2017, Papa Jeff and company showcased early alpha builds and designs of several of the Overwatch cast, from Pharah, to Mercy, to Hanzo, to freaking Genji. Now, Genji in his alpha build was a much, much different hero than he is now. Still looked the same, but instead of being a ranged hero with Shuriken, he was a melee hero much like Reinhardt or Brigitte, always having the Dragon Blade out, swinging pretty quick, and having roughly the same range as Reinhardt. But it also seemed like it would take a good 6 or so slashes to bring down a hero at 150 health. So, a quick melee assassin of lower health characters? It seems to be more of an atypical ninja, right?
I mean, if you count the fact that he's trying to sneak around with a 3-foot blade. Though, to be fair, at least he's wielding it more historically and logically.
Well, even then, have a look at some of Genji's early designs. Some of these absolutely scream solid ninja despite being cyborgy. A Jingasa hat, which was one of the 6 Shinobi Rokugu tools. A Mandiki Kusari chain whip, which I've actually seen in several ninja museums. A modern sniper rifle, to which, yeah, one of the most legendary ninja in history was a flintlock Teppo sniper, Zenjubo Tsugitani. And then there's the idea of Genji and Hanzo being one character, both with a katana and bow. And as we pointed out in the Hanzo episode of Witch Ninja, ninjas and bows were very hand in glove. But that's not all when it came to Genji's alpha build. Jeff himself said that before the drastic changes to Genji's kit, he had the ability to perch high on the walls and then dash down to his opponents, catching them off guard.
This is early Genji prototype on Gibraltar when he only had the Dragon Blade and he could perch, like you're seeing him do here, and then run around and murder everybody.
This is a textbook jutsu known as the Tanuki Gakure no Jutsu, a technique we've actually talked about several times on the show. Human perception is subconsciously pretty limiting. We typically only pay attention to about a 45-degree angle when we're looking around, and Ninja exploited the heck out of that. Whether it was being pressed into a ceiling corner or climbing high into the trees like the Tanuki that the technique gets its namesake from, Ninja would make it a point to always be as high up as possible where they could stay out of sight, and only coming down when they knew that the coast was clear or their target was at just the right place. And here's my final point. If you look back on the dragon's introductory animation, you can actually still see this kind of melee-focused Genji. I mean, seriously, he throws his shuriken once? The rest of the time he's got his kodachi swinging away, which again would make sense for a ninja. Not to mention, Genji's using some pretty hefty mind games to toy with Hanzo in this short, manipulating his emotions, which again was a very ninja thing to do. Look, I don't deny that Genji isn't the most accurate or even efficient ninja when it comes to Overwatch. Like I said, Sombra pretty much has that market cornered. But I'm also looking at what Genji could have been. Looking at these old designs, his old abilities, and the Dragon short, he really could have been one of the best FPS ninjas, let alone one of the best video game ninja of all time. And depending on how you play the guy, he can still pull the role of a ninja pretty well if you know how to do it right. So you know what? I'm gonna give Genji 6 out of 10 stars. Still not the strongest ninja, all things considered, but what he was building up to definitely had some merit when it came to what real ninja were.
And even I have to admit, with some of these early designs and builds, he would have been a ton of fun to ninja around with. A lot of real-life techniques could have easily bled into the gameplay, but we work with what we got, I suppose.
Well, I'm glad you came around, at least to a degree anyway. So with that, guys, I just want to say thanks for watching. And again, another huge thank you to all the wonderful patrons who helped make this show happen. Seriously, you are the reason that I'm able to do this for another year. But I've got some other folk I need to shout out too, specifically SFM animator Daitomodachi and his sound editor Darkmoon. These guys were incredible to work with and their art is simply outstanding. Do yourself a favor and check these guys out. But otherwise, I'll see you guys next year. I need to take a holiday break and get some new ideas pumping for January. But don't worry, I'll still be streaming my normal schedule at twitch.tv/Gaijin Goombah. So until January, everyone, this is Gaijin Goombah, signing out.